Often called the birthplace of British Columbia, Fort Langley's flamboyant past has many colorful tales to tell. Located on the traditional lands of the Katzie, Kwantlen, Matsqui, and Semiahmoo First Nations, the Township of Langley boasts an array of historic sites, parks, and many fine museums to enlighten and entertain. Welcome to the British Columbia Farm Museum, a pioneer life museum dedicated to preserving our proud British Columbia farming heritage. Come on in. Here at the Farm Museum, they've asked me to celebrate British Columbia's farming heritage in song. What better place to start than to commemorate the life and times of pioneer agriculturalist Sam Robertson. I'm here at Derby Reach. This is the site of the first Hudson's Bay trading fort on the lower Fraser River by the Salmon River, built way back in 1827. This place is virtually steeped in local history. The location coincides with an ancient Stolo trade route linking the Fraser River to Mud Bay. By 1839, with the fur trade in decline, the Hudson's Bay Company's focus turned more to agricultural pursuits, and the fort was moved 4 kilometers upstream, closer to the lush green farmland. Sam Robertson is an unlikely hero. Born in 1824, the third of 4 brothers, he was raised on a small farm in Easter Voy, the parish of Sandwick, on the Isle of Orkney in Scotland, within sight of 5,000-year-old standing stones. The Orkney Isles have a timeless boat-building tradition, so it's little surprise that Sam apprenticed as a boat builder. When his oldest brother David returned from a 5-year term with the Hudson's Bay Company, he took over the family farm. Consequently, Sam entered the service of the Hudson Bay Company himself in 1843. Sailing first to York Factory on Hudson's Bay, Sam made his way west of the Great Divide to the Columbia region, where he worked for 3 years at Fort Vancouver before being transferred to Fort Langley on the banks of the Fraser River. Like most Orcadians, Sam Robertson was soft-spoken. Regarded as modest in both manner and attire, he did, however, possess a rare gift for prudence and foresight. Sam Robertson was also no stranger to hard work. By 1847, Samuel Robertson was working here at Fort Langley as a boat builder and a carpenter, amidst an eclectic cultural mix of Hudson's Bay workers. Quebecers, Scottish, and Hawaiian Islanders all converged with their First Nations wives within and without the fort's palisades. After working for 6 years at Fort Langley, Sam Robertson took as his wife Julia Casimir, the daughter of Stolo Chief Ska from the village opposite. By 1858, the town of Derby had sprung up around the old fort site. It coincided with the Great Fraser Gold Rush. The town soon became a provisioning post for gold-hungry miners. Along with the gold rush, the rumors that Derby would soon become the new capital of the fledgling colony of British Columbia was a call to action for Sam Robertson. He came to Derby and built What Cheer House, a provisioning post for alcohol and cigars for those thirsty miners. But Sam Robertson is probably best remembered as British Columbia's answer to Johnny Appleseed. When the colony of British Columbia was formed in 1858, Fort Langley became its first capital. It was then Sam retired from the Hudson's Bay Company to dedicate his full attention to the farm across the Fraser. While awaiting his preemption, Sam ordered fruit trees from his native Scotland. A publican by day, Sam would spend his evenings on the lands across the river, planting trees in natural clearings, sometimes grafting the hardier varieties onto some of the native crabapple trees. Some of these trees still exist today, over 160 years later. From Fort Langley, Robertson hired Hawaiian Islanders, Kanakas as they were known, to help him clear his land. To this day, the creek is known as Kanaka Creek. And Sam's farm grew. A barn, a piggery, chicken houses, 2 root cellars, a boathouse, and a blacksmith shop. For the steamships that plied the river in those days, Robertson's Landing was a familiar stop. In the late spring of 1864, Sam planted his crops, then boarded the stern-wheeler Reliance to Fort Yale. Then he walked over 400 miles to join the Caribou Gold Rush. Robertson struck gold on the 10th of May, discovering 9.5 ounces in a single day. By late July, with 45 ounces of gold in his poke, Sam returned home in time to begin his harvest. As a result of his caribou windfall, Sam Robertson was able to purchase nearly 700 acres of land, all of what is today referred to as Albion, British Columbia. Sadly, Sam's wife Julia passed away on July 22, 1884. Sam would later marry Harriet Myton Edge, widow of William Edge, who had been killed in the Great Haney landslide of 1880. They had no children of their own, but raised the children of their first marriage together. Sam Robertson passed away in his Albion farm in his 74th year, December 1897, and is buried here in Fort Langley, a few steps away from his first wife, Julia. That concludes the story of Samuel Robertson. The stranger might not think that a man so humble in his manner, so plain in his apparel, so diffident in his expression of his opinions as Mr. Robertson was, would be likely to accomplish much. Great works speak louder than words or mere outward appearances. The fields, the fences, the barns, the orchards, the resident of the Robertson estate furnish unmistakable proofs not merely of the intelligence and practical ability of its late owner, but of his rare prudence and foresight. Sam Robertson was described so in all mentions of his passing, such a great role model for students that the Maple Ridge Historic Society suggested the name for a new technical school in Albion be named after him. On behalf of the BC Farm Museum, the Township of Langley, Creative Compass Society, and of course Tiller's Folly, thanks for joining us as we celebrate Sam Robertson, a simply extraordinary life. Thank you.
From a land where legends are born of stone neath the vast leaden sky. Of the life he'd led, it could never be said he had ever let time pass him by. He worked with his hands building flotties and yawls, and like many's a lad in his day, signed on for a term, and from there not returned from those lands far beyond Hudson's Bay. You can't gauge a man by the coat on his back or the work-a-day work that he plies. Sam Robertson lived in his own quiet way, simply extraordinary life. Westward he made the work at his trade till he came to the Fraser's green shore, where he started a life with his new country wife, one of promise as never before. Came the time of the great days of gold rush, in the days of the fur trade's decline. What cheer came the toast? Sam was the host, selling gold miners whiskey and wine. But he dreamed of a home and land of his own, with orchards and gardens and greens. To the river's far shore he'd take to his oars, to plant there the seeds of his dreams. Who'd ever thought so humble a man could prove so pragmatic and wise? Sam Robertson lived in his own quiet way, simply extraordinary life. He left his crops behind him on a steamship bound for Port Yale. 400 miles he strolled, dug his fortune up in gold. Then he walked 400 miles back home again, where he'd once dreamed a home and lands of his own, is today where fair Albion stands. Samuel lived out his days in a quiet, peaceful way on 700 acres of land. Now you can't gauge a man by the coat on his back, nor the work-a-day work that he plies. Sam Robertson lived in his own quiet way, simply extraordinary life, a simply extraordinary life.